Hello, lovely souls. Melanie here. Thank you for joining me. I'm using StreamYard again today, so we should be streaming to two of my different Facebook accounts, Sunshine to the Soul and also my Melanie Hughes page. And also we should be going into my YouTube account as well, which is really super cool. And I'm really enjoying having the posts in my YouTube account as well for you all to see. So do check that out if you haven't already. And I'll put a link in the comments so that you have the information for that. But thank you so much for joining me live and on replay. I really wanted to get on today to talk to you about something specific, and I've titled this Clarity, Confidence and Certainty in You. Clarity, confidence and certainty in you. And honouring you, speaking your truth and standing in your sovereignty. Now, this is very relevant for all of us, and it's very relevant also for me. So I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about my journey as well, which is something that I have done a little bit in lives from time to time, but not a massive amount. And it's something that I've been looking to do for a little while. So that's my plan anyway. It was a little bit off the cuff because so often I come on and I do certain specific things like the crystal singing bowl meditations, like doing maybe a reading or doing a guided meditation or channeling information from my guides or other spiritual light beings that are coming and working with me. So I love doing all of that, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. Now I'm going to cleanse the space that we share between us, as I always do, and asking Archangel Michael to also hold the space for us, cleansing this space and filling it with love, with light, and asking that my spiritual team step forward and that they are with me and supporting me fully with any information that they want me to pass on to you as we go through. But what I wanted to talk a lot about, and I've got a few notes because I want to try and run it through and not miss anything out, is about how many people find it difficult to, one, make decisions, two, to say no when they don't feel they can do something, and three, kind of relating to this, they take on so much. They end up taking on so much and finding themselves exhausted. But part of this is about not having that confidence and certainty and clarity in their own self and their own perhaps opinions and things that they're wanting to do. And so it's almost like they have given their power away or been disempowered. And this happens through society so much. It happens in the school system, where we're given information, we're taught to sit down, we're taught to listen, take the information in, do the exam at the end of the course to pass it, to know that we've listened and understood it. We're taught often in our families, without our parents even realising it, to sit down, to listen, to do what we're told, to do what our things the way our parents have done them, for example. Then you go out to work, you're in a business, you're perhaps sitting down at your desk. This is what you're told to do. You do it this way. This is the way we do it as a business. If you don't do it that way, then it's not right, or you wouldn't have a job. Now, this is such control, and it's taking our power away from us. It's disempowering, and it's stopping us from really standing in our sovereign self and making important decisions, for example, for ourselves, stepping into our power, listening to our inner voice, listening to our inner knowing and intuition, and making decisions for ourselves based on what is best for our our soul, for our being. But as we're saying here, in society, through many, many number of years and through many lifetimes, we have been disempowered. And a lot of that does come from a very dominant patriarchal society. And it does mean that we're, as women, have often been oppressed, repressed, suppressed, and so on. But we're really stepping into our power really fully now. And there's goddesses and ascended masters and all sorts who are coming into the earth plane very, very fully. I'm really feeling it so much over these years now. I'm really supporting us all in stepping into our power and seeing the truth and the truth of who we really are, and supporting us to step into our true self more fully, really being aligned and making decisions for our highest good, our highest path and purpose. But as empaths, as compassionates, as sensitives, we often end up wanting to people please. We can end up feeling awkward and not putting how we feel forward because it makes us feel like we might be upsetting someone else, or we fear getting some kind of negative response. But all of this really comes down to not standing fully in our power. It's that disempowerment. And what I do with my clients is I support them in honoring themselves, in honoring you, in speaking your truth, in standing in your sovereignty, and knowing your abilities in making the right decisions for you, in being a decision maker, in trusting yourselves, in believing in yourselves, and in the certainty of your decision, the clarity of your decision, and the confidence in yourself. These are really key points that so often as children that is taken away from us because we're told not to do something like that, or to do it this way, and to not trust our own judgment. So as adults, when we start looking into who we truly are and the decisions we're making and whether they feel aligned, feel right to us, whether that's for our highest good, we have to look back in a way and look at how we are acting and reacting, what decisions we are making, or are we passing those decision making responsibilities over to someone else because we are frightened of the responsibility, because that also happens. So what I do with my clients is really support them in looking at limiting beliefs, looking at unhealthy relationship dynamics, looking at where unhealthy programming has come in, down the ancestral line, the family line, the male line, the female line, in society, in religious programming. There's all sorts, but it's delving deep and looking at what's working for you and what's holding you back and holding you stuck, because so much of this is about releasing fears and self-doubts and anxieties and lack of self-worth as well. And this is about stepping more fully into you, your divine, sovereign, loving self, self-love, self-worth, self-care. There's so many points that come in here, but what I want to do, I wanted to set the scene. This is a bit different to how I normally do a live, but I want to set the scene of how a lot of people grow from childhood into adulthood, and these limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviors that they take on board that are really limiting themselves, in the sense of not able to make decisions for themselves, not having that clarity and confidence and certainty in themselves, and often passing that power over to somebody else to make a decision for them, because society and where they perhaps worked, the schools they've been in, the families they've lived within, because they have said, that perhaps the way you've made that decision in the past has, in their view, not been right. So they've made you feel like your power's been taken away and you're better off letting someone else take responsibility. So what I'm here to do is to support you and my clients, of course, into stepping more fully into their divine, loving, true power, and taking back their power that they've unconsciously given away through all of this distorted programming and distorted aspects, unhealthy relationships and limiting beliefs and such like, and really relearning, remembering, relearning. And it's almost like a reprogramming of how to do things that work well for you, and not doing things that you have been taught from other people who also have the limiting beliefs and also have the self-sabotaging behaviors. Or the other aspect of very controlling. So this is about taking your power back. And as empaths and compassionates and as sensitives, this is really key to us, because so often we are people pleasers. We don't want to rock the boat, so to speak. We don't want to upset people. Even if we feel a bit uncomfortable with what someone's saying, often we hold back from speaking our truth. And something that I've learned very much so along my journey, particularly over the past sort of 8 or so years, is really how important it is to speak your truth at the times where it really, really feels important to you. When it's something that is so aligned to you and it's really part of your core, it's part of your being, it's so important to be able to speak out and let that throat chakra flow and not get clogged up. You know, it's so important that you're able to speak out for yourself and perhaps, you know, your children or loved ones, and not to feel like you have to back down or step back even though you're unhappy doing so. It's always so important to speak your truth in a loving way. So I wanted to tell you a little bit of a story about me. Before I do that, what I wanted to say was a lot of this is about trusting your gut feel, your intuition, your higher self, and your higher knowing. And that is trust, that is faith, and that is looking at, as I said just briefly before, the decisions that you're making currently and have made in the past that have brought you to where you are today. Are they aligned to you? Are they your core beliefs? Are they your moralities? Are they working for you for your highest good? Do they make you happy? Do they make you calm? Do they fill you with love and joy? Or are you feeling that your power is being taken away? Have you unintentionally, unconsciously given your power away to others at the detriment of yourself? You know, that it's not good for you. So this is about clarity, confidence, and certainty, and honoring you, speaking your truth, being your true, divine, sovereign, loving self, and honoring yourself, honoring that gut feel, that intuition, that higher self, that higher knowing, that as we work through the limiting beliefs and the things that are holding us back and that have been through decades or lifetimes and so on, and as we release that, we're able to establish our own true identity. We're able to establish and to remember our true divine self, that pure love, that pure light. And we're able to work within our own true belief systems, our own truth, our own power, and step into our highest self and our highest timeline, so to speak. So I just want to see if there's anything else I want to cover here. But I want to tell you a little bit about why I wanted to have this topic, because even as a child, I always felt, for many reasons, that I was there to help others, support others. And I was almost like the loving warrior. If I saw something that was unjust, I would step in, I would speak what I thought was my truth, but was often other people's truth, because I was stepping in to support them and speak their truth for them. And what I learned from that was that, one, sometimes it's not our job to try and sort everybody else out. We can be there to support and guide and offer our love and assistance if we feel that's required. But each person has their own challenges and their own things that they need and have signed up for in this lifetime, lessons to be learned. And I realized that even going into my adulthood, I was, so to speak, fighting other people's battles for them. And I was doing this because I loved them, because I cared about them, because I didn't like seeing them suffering. But what I also saw, and this is the important thing for you listening as well, very important, I've also seen how detrimental that was for me. I kept stepping in and getting involved with things that were tough emotionally, and that made me feel sometimes really uncomfortable. But I did it as this loving warrior stepping in to save and support my loved ones. And I realized how detrimental this was. And it probably wasn't until, my, I lose track of time, but maybe until my late 20s, early 30s, that I realized how I was still doing this. And I realized how I'd taken on so much of other people's emotional stuff and lessons. And I was trying to sort their life lessons for them. I'd stepped in, taken all this toxicity from other people that had been really emotionally painful. And because I started doing this from so young as an empath, compassionate and sensitive, I had taken on so much toxic energy into my physical being because I hadn't known how to release it. And it actually started to make me ill. And this was through other things as well, with society and the school systems and the pressure that they put on the kids with exams and things. I felt that as well. Hello, Sheila. So true. I literally said this to someone last night. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just realized how I had been living my life trying to save and support and sort out everybody else's stuff. And okay, that sounds a lovely thing to do. And I am here to help and support people. And I love helping and supporting people. All of you on our lives. I love connecting, my clients, my family, my friends. But what we're not here to do is to step in as a savior and to actually take that important lesson away from the person that had signed up for that before coming into this lifetime. One, it's their lesson. And like I say, we can be there to support them and love them. But two, it's not for us to take on board everybody else's pain and challenges. And this is what I really wanted to talk about, because we can go through the whole of our life. And hey, this isn't even looking into past lives right now, where at times we've done the same or can have done the same. This is just looking at this one life at the moment. But how powerful is this? But how does that make you feel? Like you've taken on all of this stuff that you haven't needed to take on board. And when you look at that, you start looking at how you've made, perhaps like I have, choices and decisions that went against what I really felt was right for me. Now, this is a slightly different situation again, but of a similar core theme. And this can be the most basic stuff. Perhaps we've got a group of friends And we obviously think very much of them. But they're asking us to come along and do this and do that, and to commit to this and commit to that, and give our energy to this and support with that. And hey, can we do this at the same time? And, we have so many demands put upon us, particularly as mother, friend, wife or husband, employee, all of these things, there's pressures, or we have stuff put upon us. Certain things, of course, we feel the need to do, in the sense of, like, as a mother, you want to do the best for your children, and there's things where you want to make sure that you're there to support and encourage and put the boundaries down. And that is a case of, you do have to give of yourself. It is a commitment. It's a total commitment of love. And that's something slightly different. But what we haven't signed up to do is to try and fulfill everybody else's needs all of the time, constantly. You might have a parent who's wanting you to do one thing, and you know that if you don't do it, they're going to be upset. So you go and do it, even though you're tired and you've got your list growing of things that you need to do. And you've got another friend who's got problems with a relationship, perhaps with their partner, and they want to have that time with you to talk to you about that. That is fine, and that is great that they want to talk to you. And I'm often really love being there for my friends, of course. But what you don't want to do is in a really unhealthy relationship, you can end up being like a sponge and taking on all of that sadness and anger that person's just been able to release from their throat chakra, and you've just gone and taken it all on board. They leave the conversation, oh my God, I feel so much better now. Thank you for that. And you're like, that's okay. I'm all right. Bye. And you just feel completely zonked. You feel exhausted. You feel heavy, the weight of the world on your shoulders, because that person has just gone and energetically dumped all their stuff on you. And then you've got perhaps your children in school, and the teachers are demanding your time or efforts and things like that. And they don't know where you're at. And then you've got other demands coming in with your own work and stuff like that. And what I began to realize was I was giving so much of myself to so many different people, to so many situations, in so many different environments, that I became exhausted. And I couldn't function properly, and I was getting unwell. And what I was starting to see was these really unhealthy healing agreements between me and other people, friendships, relationships, family, endless lists. But I was starting to see how I was giving of myself to be a part of what this person was asking me to do. Or I was putting myself in a position whereby I thought what I was doing was probably a good thing for myself at the time. And in part it was. But I was also getting a lot of toxicity back, because these people didn't have their own boundaries. They didn't have their own core moralities and healthy belief systems that were working for them. And every time, I would be trying to support, I'd be trying to turn up at whoever's to be there like they wanted. I was trying to do this, trying to do that, and be all things to all people, which you can't do in that way. I was letting myself down. I was not being true to myself. I was not loving myself enough. I was not taking care of myself enough. And what it ended up doing in the end, and this, of course, all started way back, and part of this was childhood, and it would take forever to go through all of this. But what I was doing, I was giving away my power to people that in the relationship was very unhealthy. And I hadn't even realized I'd given my power away. It was unconscious. And it was only when I realized it that I took it back, and I walked away from the situation. I took myself physically and emotionally out of those situations. But there were times where it took a long time to do that, because I believe that it is going back to that sense of self, that self-worth, that self-love, that trust, that faith, that trust in yourself, that clarity in your decision, that confidence in your decisions, that certainty, having that confidence to speak your truth, to be your own sovereign person, and for honoring yourself. Because what the other thing was that I was doing was I was actually physically becoming ill. I had taken on so much toxicity from and I know that it's not always the best word to use, as in toxic people, but I'm going to use it here because I think that you'll relate and understand it. But I was taking on so much, basically, crap from other people. And it was almost like soaking it up like a sponge. And I hadn't learned all my tools for protection. I hadn't learned enough tools and how to release that negative energy. I hadn't learned enough at the time, or at least I hadn't embodied it enough at the time either. I'm embodying it more now, and I've learned loads more skills. And now I'm in such a really great place. But back in this time, I'd given my power away. I was doing things for people that I loved, but I was around toxic people that were doing harm to me. I'd unconsciously given my power away. I was losing my health. I was unhappy with the way I was feeling and being treated. And yet there I was, continuing to do this because I felt I had a duty to do it. But then I stepped into my power even more fully. And this, like I say, is going back from childhood and through schooling and then in young adulthood. And then at times, like I say, even in my late 20s, early 30s. But then I saw exactly what was happening. Yes, I knew I was an empath. I knew I was compassionate. I knew I was intuitive. I knew I was seeing things clairvoyantly. I knew all of those things. And I didn't want to let people down, but I also knew enough was enough. And now was time to take my power back. And it was throughout my adulthood, I started taking my power back from different people, but there were still people coming in, testing me, as life always does. It tests you, and you might have released one toxic relationship, but another one will come in because the universe wants to test you to make sure you've learnt the lesson. Just reading your messages, Sheila. Yes, I see, looking back, that I took a lot of people's energy on at work as a teacher, from the kids and as the union rep from the adults. It was too much. The same, yeah. We have come so far. I'm so proud of you, of us. Oh, you too, Sheila. Really proud of you and really proud of us, definitely. We really have come so far. And it's testament, isn't it, to this work, this inner journeying that we have been doing and that we continue to do for ourselves, for our clients and our loved ones and those that are following us on our different pages and so on. And it's really, for me and for so many of us, I know, we are empaths, we're compassionates, we're sensitives, and we want to be there to help and support and to guide others. But we have to step into our power, loving power first. We have to honor ourselves, speak our truth, and be in our sovereignty. And going back to that title again, you know, the clarity, the confidence, and the certainty. And it's by being honest and open with ourselves, by looking and acknowledging this stuff and releasing it, all of these limiting beliefs, all of these unhealthy dramatic relationships, releasing all of that we get the clarity, the confidence, the certainty, the faith, and the trust in ourselves and in our spiritual team. And that's why I wanted to start off with chatting as I did at the beginning. So I hope that wasn't too long-winded, but I wanted to set the scene and talk about it a little there, and then give you this little bit of information about how important it is that we honor ourselves, and that every decision that we make is made from the heart for us, for our true self. It's so important that every decision is made in a loving way for our highest good. Because first and foremost, we have to keep ourselves aligned and happy and healthy. one, for ourselves, but two, in order to be the best version of ourselves for the people that we love and support in our personal life, but also in our soul aligned business life with, like, you know, with our business, like what we're doing here today. This is so important because when we are working with others and their emotions and their sensitivity and their vulnerability, it's so important that we are walking our talk, you know, that I am walking my talk and doing this inner work. And that's why I wanted to come on and really just give you a little bit of that information. I don't even know how long I've been chatting for, but 30 minutes, about just one small part of my journey, about where I was, those unhealthy, limited beliefs and programming and so on that I took on board, and then how I was, even into my young adulthood, still doing the same, people pleasing, trying to be all things to all people, and neglecting myself and my health. You know, it's a no-no, and it's something I would never do again. But what I've learned to do is to do two things. One, love myself enough, honor myself enough, self-worth, self-care, self-respect, self-love, and really look after myself and treat myself better, do the research and explore, read my health and what I can do to really boost that and make that really good. That's what I've done. And on the other side of that, the other really great thing I've done is to really be more present and more present for my loved ones, more able to do more for them, because I'm feeling healthier, because I'm happier, because I can physically do more with them, because I want to be there for them, and because I've filled up my own cup, so to speak. So there's enough to go around that I can do things for the people I love as well without it impacting me in a negative way. I still have to be really careful. And I think as empaths and compassionate people, we do have to do that. We always have to take stock, and we always have to think, am I putting myself at the forefront? Am I looking after my health? Am I looking after my mental health, my emotional health, and my physical health? Because no matter how many people we love and want to be there for, unless we are loving ourselves enough and making sure that our emotional, mental, physical health, etc., is good, then how can we be present and fully in our power and loving power, that is, to fulfill our duties for others? And duties, I mean by being a mum, being a wife, being a friend, that kind of thing. So it felt really important that I came on and that I spoke about this today. And it's been something I've been meaning to do for a long time. And as I've been working through my Soul Aligned Leaders course with Jen and all the lovely Soul Aligned family that are on the course with me, I've been more and more thinking about my journey and how I've empowered myself. And I've been thinking about it so much. And there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but of course we'll split it up into different things. I can't do it all in one go. So much, it'd take hours. But this was really important that I came on and did this. And I just wanted to, in a moment, tell you a couple more things which are really empowering as well. Emotional, physical, mental, spiritual, and energetic health. Absolutely. Yeah. Physical, mental, spiritual, energetic health. That's it. All areas of health. Most definitely. So important. And then by doing that and being present and loving ourselves fully and honoring how we feel and stepping into our power, we are totally aligned with our true nature and soul self. Our intuitive skills open more fully. Our clairvoyant skills open more fully. We trust in ourselves because the decisions we're making are really great because we're so aligned. We're hearing and seeing our spiritual teams more fully because we're so aligned and they can get the messages through to us. And part of this is all of this beautiful transformational work that we're doing on ourselves and all the meditations and the journeyings and stuff like that within that meditative space that we're doing. So it's really powerful. And that's what we do on many of these lives here with our meditations, and that I go much deeper in with one-to-one clients and courses. And that's what I do all the time for me, to be able to show up and be present fully in love, in light, and so on, for all of us. For me, for my family, for my friends, for my Facebook friends, for all of us here, for all of you that are kindly wanting to connect here on this platform, which I really love. As you know, I really love that connection. And this is a really great story. I'm aware I've been 35 minutes and I could tell so many, but this is a really great story. And this is at a time when I had much more fully stepped into my power. And it was in the schooling system. And it was in the days before we homeschooled. And I can't remember if it was just one of my boys or both of my boys at school at this time. I think it was just the eldest one who was in school at this time. And he was excelling in some subjects and he was struggling in other subjects. And in the end, we saw that he was being failed by the system. Lack of resources, lack of time, lack of understanding, etc. Yeah, lack of knowledge from the people that were there that we wanted, or we were hoping would be able to support him in the areas where he was falling behind. And we knew we had to do something, because we knew that the school was failing him at this point. But we knew unless we stepped in and took responsibility, we as parents would be contributing to that and we would be failing him. And so we made a decision that we would start searching for different schools. We would start looking at all sorts of types of schools in the local area. And we would also consider homeschooling. And at this time as well, they'd started swimming lessons in school. And I'd taken my eldest to a few swimming sessions and he was getting on pretty well. It was a tough start because he went down with chickenpox. I think he'd caught it from the pool. We had to scrap all the lessons. Then a few years later, he went back into swimming and he was quite scared and frightened, as so many children are with the water. And so we had to build up his trust in the tutor and in what we were doing, and his confidence in what we were doing and what he was doing in the water. And then he started to really get into it and he started flourishing. And then it stopped again. We didn't do it, and then we couldn't get back into sessions and all sorts of things happened. And they set up some swimming sessions at the local school, which the children had to go to. So my eldest went along. And he's really great at sport. He excels in sport. He's an absolute natural. He's amazing. And that made sense to me because I always was at school with sport as well. And my husband's really sporty as well. And my family. So he went off to swimming that day. I think he was probably a little bit anxious, but we said, well, look, just go along, try it. It's really exciting. You know, you're going to have your armbands on or whatever. And he came back and he was really nervous and he hadn't enjoyed it. And the tutor had been very unsupportive, let's say, and I think quite hard, and didn't connect with the children well, from what I understood and later found out. And I can't remember if we sent him again. Maybe he went in another time, but we were really unhappy about this because, yeah, he did, because he would come back. He'd be so upset. He'd be so upset several days before going back. He'd be crying. He wouldn't want to go in. And as parents, we felt awful. And we thought, we can't stand by and watch this because this is happening. This has happened for a few weeks. This isn't getting any better. We had tried it. We'd had that confidence to try it. We knew he was safe there in the water. We had the confidence to try it. And then we knew, no, this isn't working. It's not the right aligned tutor. It's not working for him. He's unhappy. He's getting stressed. He's feeling physically ill because he's sensitive, compassionate, empath as well. And he's young. He doesn't know how to deal with all of that. He hasn't learnt the tools I'm teaching him, but it's quite hard when they're so young. And so we said, right, enough's enough. And I went in and I spoke to the headmistress and I said, he's very unhappy. I explained the situation and we're not going to be doing it. It's not working. It's not fair. It's not right to make him go. We are going to personally give him swimming sessions, private swimming sessions. So that's exactly what we did. And he got learning and he built more confidence. He was much, much happier. Then sometime later, and I should say that the headmistress didn't want us to do it. She felt it was the wrong thing to do. She did not fill me with any confidence in my truth and beliefs and my knowing that that was the right thing to do for my child, for our child. We know him. They don't. They didn't know him at all. They thought they did. And what I'm saying here, the reason for this story is believe in yourself, trust your instinct, trust your gut feel. And as a mother for your child, you know them. And I knew it was wrong that he was doing these sessions at the school. So we pulled him out, we put him into the private sessions. He started doing really well. He built his confidence back up that had been knocked because of these sessions. Even though that headmistress had said no, that she didn't think it was the right thing for us to do. But she has not got control over us. We're sovereign beings. So I stepped in and I said, no, it's coming out. We're going to do this our way. Now, move forward a few years. He is swimming. Both children, both of our lovely boys are swimming. They're having one-to-one sessions. They're very fortunate we've been able to do that for them. They have the most amazing, most loving teacher that I've ever known, especially as a swimming teacher. Just totally awesome. And the other day, she said to my husband that she had never seen a child as young as my eldest who had taken to swimming like that so well, so naturally. And she, I believe, used to swim professionally. So I was like, yes, that's a real win. I knew that we were doing the right thing. And you do know you're doing the right thing when you're aligned, when you're in your truth, when you're in your divine loving power, when you've released all of that stuff that's been holding you back and you've embodied more of your light and your truth and you've stepped away from toxicity and pain and suffering and drama and limiting belief systems and self-sabotaging behaviors, etc., and you have stepped more fully into your power, and it's amazing. And we knew that we were making the right decision. And there you go. We knew it, but there's the evidence as well for anyone that wanted to see it. And then we went before that into a lockdown. We knew he was in the wrong school. We took both the children out of school. We started home educating. And we've been able to offer them such a wonderful life of variety with sports and also academic subjects, but they're getting more support with that. And my youngest, he could have just gone through school, any school, and I think he would have flourished and just done beautifully because he's just really natural with just about everything. And he's got this gentle, quiet confidence, and it would have just worked for him. But it doesn't necessarily mean it would have been for his highest good. So what we've done and what we're doing and what we're offering them is that opportunity. And obviously if they want to go back into the school system, they can. It's like they don't have to homeschool, but they're really enjoying it. And we're really making it work so beautifully for us. They're getting so much attention to really learn and grow. And in areas where they need the extra support, they're getting the extra support. And in areas where they're flourishing, they can jump forward and they can flourish. They're not held back. So it's all tapered to them. It's all aligned for them. And of course, there's always challenges. And I'm not saying that it's right for everyone by any means. And I'm not saying that it's perfect, because with everything, there's challenges that come along and you're continuously looking at it. Are we happy with this? Are we happy with that? Do we need to tweak this? Do we need to tweak that? But it's offered us such freedom and such joy and such a great learning experience and potential and possibilities for the kids' highest goods. And it's been amazing. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? As soon as you start stepping into your power, as soon as you start trusting yourself, as soon as you start having the confidence, the clarity, the certainty, honoring you and your thoughts and decisions, speaking your truth and stepping into your sovereignty, the more everything blossoms and falls into place. The more beautiful and aligned your life and your family's life, the more full of joy and harmony, more peace and calm. It's just great. So I highly, highly recommend this work. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I encourage it. I support it. I'm working it. I'm walking the talk. So I hope that that's been powerful and encouraging and supportive for everyone that has joined today and listened on live and or replay, because sometimes we feel a bit stuck, a bit stagnant, a bit held back, limiting beliefs, self-sabotaging behaviors. You know, sometimes we feel a bit stuck, and sometimes it's hard to get out of that sticky stuckness, but you can do it. Everyone has this massive potential and possibility and abundance of all great things right there for them. It's almost like it's in an energetic energy, and all you need to do is step out and take it, have the confidence to do it. So I hope and trust that this has given you, if you haven't already started this process, some faith and trust in doing so. And if this has been helpful, do know that you can join in loads and loads of lives. I do at least one a week on varying meditations and alignments and channeling and journeying and all sorts of things to support this process. And if you would like to, if it feels aligned, work with me more fully, then please get in touch, reach out, private message me if you like, and I can tell you more about what I offer on a one-to-one basis. But it's really awesome. It's really powerful. It's so exciting when you step into your own power and you're living the life that you want to, for living your dreams, being authentic and loving and honoring you, and therefore loving and being supportive to those that you love and want to support around you. It's the most transformational, beautiful, awesome, amazing thing. So I highly recommend it. Before I go, I'm going to pull a card for the group collective. And it's a very simple little card. It's a Mystical Unicorn Oracle card, so I don't think you can get hold of them now. Just has a very simple message. And it says, let the day's sunrise and sunset fill you with warmth. Let the day's sunrise and sunset fill you with warmth. And that is a really beautiful card, and it reminds us to also see the bigger picture as well, and to step out in nature and to see the wonder and the beauty of nature and the earth and the sky and the cosmos and the stars and all of the beauty that is there for us, and to really fill up our own being with that love and with that light, and to remember how magical your life is and how magical the world and the cosmos is and the divine consciousness. And how anything you want to put in place, anything that you want to step into for your highest path and purpose to live the life of your dreams is possible. It really is releasing what is no longer working and serving you, so that you have the confidence and the clarity and that trust to step into it. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Lots of love to you all. It's been so nice to connect with you all as always. Thank you for watching live and on replay, and have a beautiful rest of week. And I look forward to catching up with you again soon. But lots of love. Bye for now.